Alright, today we're in Moscow, in Pokrovka, and this is Paper Daily with Stelep, and we have a really special guest. Who are you?
I'm Swan.
Black?
Kind of.
Alright, I would ask you to describe yourself in 3 words.
Okay, I'm unpredictable, I have global consequences, and I'm retrospective.
Okay, well, you said you're retrospective. Just, can you specify it?
Okay, I can. First of all, we should understand that you can actually predict me that after I had done. As example, the collapse of USSR was such a case when the people are trying to get us to interpret the events and say, yeah, it was really predictable, however, it wasn't so in the late 80s.
Well, okay, thank you. What's your district?
Okay, right now I'm living somewhere in the Extremistan. Yeah, I would specify there's also Mediocristan. The people, the place where the common people live, and the Extremistan where some, I don't know, there's some big gap between the richest and the poorest ones. So yeah, right now I'm based only in Extremistan. I'm not applicable to that.
Alright, and according to a guy who's called Taleb, you're scalable. Can you just describe what is scalable?
Okay, we should say that non-scalable is something that you cannot just increase and increase it. No, the waste, you cannot waste about 1 ton, and if you do so, you would just die instantly. However, your net worth could be described by millions of dollars, billions and billions, example Jeff Bezos or, I don't know, Bill Gates, so on and so forth.
All right. Continuing with our topic, I have another question for you. What do you think about predictions, and do you believe that people can really predict things?
Well, to start with, just ponder why don't we see how we always miss the big events? People always use their tools and still cannot predict my actions. This is definitely the scandal of prediction. You certainly know a lot, but you have a tendency to believe that you know a little bit more than you actually do. Enough of that little bit to occasionally get into serious trouble.
So, okay, yeah, I see. And well, I heard that you said that our brain destroys information with language and narratives. And what do you think about narratives, and what is it? Can you just please describe it?
So the issue is that you reduce the dimension of matters. I call it the narrative fallacy. Your vulnerability to over-interpretation of compact stories over raw truth. It severely distorts mental representation of the world, and it's acute when it comes to rare event. You interpret pretty much as you perform other activities deemed outside your control, like breathing. So here's my advice. Try to be a true skeptic with respect to your interpretations, even if you are worn out in no time.
Whoa, that's impressive. Yeah, thank you. And well, what do you think about Platonism?
So frankly, the more random information is, the greater the dimensionality, and thus the more difficult not to interpret during summarizing. The more you summarize, the more order you put in, the less randomness. Hence, the same order, the same condition that makes us simplify. But now look at the Platonic randomness. That has an additional layer of uncertainty concerning the rules of the game in real life. Platonicity refers to our tendency to focus on our Platonic representations at the cost of ignoring those objects of seemingly less tractable structures. Your representations are confronted with thoughts about reality, which diverge with the expectations that you've developed by using the models. That's why it's actually irrelevant in reality.
Okay, and just a quick question about people from academia sphere. So, do you say just that they are fools?
I guess yes.
Okay, I see. Thank you. Mhm. Okay, and going to another question. Why do people think that if they haven't seen something before, then it can't happen? Well, people always focus on the visible evidence. They don't think about the silent evidence. Like, look at me, I'm a black swan. Does that mean that there are no white swans on our planet? No. People for such a long time thought that even white swans don't exist. Well, there is even a chance that one day you may find a yellow swan. But seriously, if there is no evidence that something doesn't exist, then it has a chance to exist, for sure. Like governments always tell you what they did, but nothing about what they didn't do. People see visible consequences and rarely remember about the unseen cemetery of invisible consequences. Before you ask, all the unheard people and their ideas, everything unseen and unheard are buried there.
Oh,
So, okay, I see. And can you please provide somehow, like, somewhat an example? Um, yeah, for sure. Well, a long time ago, some worshippers told that they managed to survive a shipwreck through praying. People automatically started to believe that praying together decreases the chance of drowning. One non-believer in the gods asked people about those who prayed and drowned. However, no one thought about them. Drowned sailors don't talk and don't share their opinions. They are now somewhere in that very cemetery. People assume that failure happens because of bad luck. But why those who fail do not write books? Such books would be much more useful than those about success. Anyway, even if they did, their books wouldn't be published because readers will not pay a cent for such a book. Come on, don't only look at the stories of success. You got it? Well, I hope so. Frankly speaking, I like silent evidence. It conceals the randomness of events, especially the randomness of Black Swan.
oh yeah, great. Now I see the point. And I just have another quick question for you. And do you know the guy whose name is Friedrich Hayek?
Yeah, of course I do. I
And
think
what do
he's
you think
pretty
about it?
cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's cool though. Okay. Okay, um, here is some kind of a theory that the bell curve or Gauss curve is a graphical representation of a normal empirical statistical distribution shaped like a bell.
I know it's like just normal distribution, the 68% in the
Yeah,
middle,
yeah, yeah,
the
like this.
32, 16 on the right, 16 on the left, as I said. I know that. I suppose that it's not applicable to me, and I find the statistics not applicable to whole theory of me, because I am just an outlier that would destroy all of your statistical data, all of your empirical. That's it.
Okay, well, I see your point. And what do you think about history? Is it useless or not?
To be honest, I suppose that we should use it as like a set of anecdotes, and if we would just use some consequences, all these connections, no.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And should we worry about risks?
Do you mean risk management? I say that it's just fraud. You can't predict everything because you don't have enough data.
And does it mean that you guys are all like negative?
Don't think that it's all connected, but I say not. I don't know. Can we say
So-
that? So can we say that God was actually the positive black swan? I'd say yes, and yes.
And someone would say no.
I don't know. He comes entity that creates everything, and everything goes a bit. But there was no such entity. It creates everything. What's not?
And well, then provide me an example of a positive.
Positive. I don't know. The creation of standardized shipping in the middle of 20th century, or just the printing press.
Okay.
Classical example.
And why you're not sympathetic towards contemporary social science?
To be honest, I don't like when you're trying to impose some matters from natural sciences to social sciences, because you cannot say that we are like in quantum or atoms or just like in animals. Yeah, it's have some grain of truth in it, but not. We are too complicated, and there are so many things that could go wrong. So, not yet. So I think that now the Karl Popper or just the Friedrich Hayek are the cool guys.
Great. Blitz! When was the last time you destroyed the financial market?
Okay, I guess it was. I cannot say that coronavirus was actually the black swan because it was claimed a gray swan because there was some predictions. I say the latest big, it was 208. Just.
Okay. How much do people earn on you?
Oh, that's confusing and a little bit embarrassing question. I say very much, very big amount of money, and I say that you all should watch the movie called The Big Shot.
Okay, what is power?
Power. I think my power is unpredictability. Well, people think they know who I am and what I will do next, but in reality, people know nothing.
And when you meet Adam Smith, what would you say or do with him?
Well, honestly, I really like this guy, and I will shake his hand.
Wow, thank you. Great. Thank you so much for coming. That was a pleasure. Maybe you have some last words to say.
Well, don't believe scientists.
I'll be back, but you don't know when.
Yeah, thank you so much. Goodbye.